Peace, family. So I'm back with another one. As y'all can see, it is toasty as a motherfucker out here. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to talk to my chosen ones about we are living in the society of the movie Get Out. Get out. Get out. Get all the way the fuck out, you know? And I know a lot of us, you know, take that shit pretty lightly. Some of us didn't even really watch it or give it 2 cents, you know, but when you understand on a bigger level, right, the movie Get Out, and then how it correlates with, let's just say, the Kardashians, you know, that's a whole disgusting ass witchy family. I'm pretty sure all they boxes smell like mildew and trash. Like, that shit has to be disgusting over there. And people still keep lining up to go get it. It has to be something else going on behind the scenes for people to keep going. Most guys is gonna want something. Oh, okay, everybody and their mama haven't been in this portal, but then you still got people lining up. So we'll just use them as an example as the movie Get Out. She goes out and recruits men, and she breaks them down. You know, she trauma bonds them. She does everything she can to break them down spiritually. The Kardashians, they have their household, they have their, you know, the mom and the dad to also use like the movie Get Out. So, you know, the movie Get Out, they kind of just transfer the guy over to the mom and dad and let them work their magic and their spells. You know, the dad is really good with doing this, manipulating with his words, and the mom is really good with doing her thing that she does, you know. And like the Kardashians is like a celebrity version of Get Out, but we got people that's on our levels, you know, the real people level, not the weird higher up status level, that's on this type of time, just like Get Out. They are recruiting different beings and men. Then you got men recruiting different women to fucking torture and manipulate and to drag down as low as they possibly can. And for me, it's hard for me to look at it as any other approach. Like, it's one being that says that I ran into, and I'm just correlating this with the example that I ran into a while ago, and it was like, you know, their thing is they want to help the men who are confused. You gotta be careful with your words on this shit. You see, they already subtracting everything from me now. So you got the men who want to be women who they love to help, and then you got the women who want to be men, which they love to help. But then they live a lifestyle of where they are on Tinder and the rest of these other social media apps, because the other apps is just like dating apps, depending on how you use that world, you know. And they are recruiting and using the same tactics like the movie Get Out. And what brought me to this subject was, I had already mentioned this being before, but the correlations that I was able to make with the subject right now, it just kind of went hand in hand, because I felt that shit when I was engaging with them prior, because they had tried to trauma bond with 2 different subjects and wanted to see if I was okay or if I would be able to work past it and blah, 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 and all this other shit, right? Which, that shit would never work, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you chose this team over here, I'm riding with this team with everything in me, you know what I'm saying? So it would be no way that would work on a full level. But they started off trying to trauma bond, but they also found me on one of the dating apps as well too, you know what I'm saying? I call all the social media shits dating apps. It doesn't matter what the fuck it is, you know. But we had stopped communicating for a little bit, right? Because on the weeks I have my daughter, I don't be engaging with a bunch of people, like females, and having them in my space and all that shit. I got a whole week without my daughter that I can do all of that shit if that's what I'm going to do, right? But I realized, like, I hadn't heard anything from them, which is cool. We all live life. I was impressed. I already know when I run across females who have that masculine energy, they're looking for these beta men in this beta energy to kind of reach and like give them all this admiration shit that they don't deserve. But what happened was, I don't give all that validation and admiration, all that shit, if you don't deserve it. So it was already some trigger bombs in between there, right? But then the motherfucker And I know this is a war, right? And I've had other people use this tactic on me before. But I knew that these other tactics was tensional. Everything is on a percentage scale. So I knew it was tensional. The priors was more tensional on a higher percentage scale. I didn't know how tensional this one was. But I always assumed that motherfuckers is just at war. Like, they are trying every hand they can to get at me, to get at y'all, to get at us. It's just a flow of things. So for me, I took it as, oh shit, they trying to get at me. When really it was a video. I hadn't talked to them in like a week or something. They barely been responding to my texts, which I only send when I don't bust a bunch of texts back to back in a row. But like prior, I think they had said something and I had made a statement. So it just kind of ended on me leaving a statement. It wasn't like it was, you know, it was ignoring. Even though spiritually I knew that's what it was, but physically on paper, that's not what it looks like. I don't give a fuck about paper. And they had sent me a video, but it wasn't supposed to be to me. It was supposed to be to whoever the news source was that they was wrapping into this space that they going into. You know, they got to trauma bond you and put you in all these weird spaces. But just, it was crazy is it was like a 30-60 second video. And then it was like, oh, sorry, wrong person. And then gave me, oh, yeah, my day's been great. How are you? It was like very simple. It wasn't as in depth as the personal video she did to another band. And I was just thinking to myself, But for me, I didn't have that much energy invested into that person. So I took that as a time for me to study this being. You drop this video to somebody else, that means that energy was supposed to be somewhere else. Or even if it was tensional to me, I'm still gonna process this and see, okay, this is the kind of being this person is. You know what I'm saying? They can go out here and keep outsourcing these beings and keep trying to traumatize and bring everybody down. Because if you notice, most of the time when you run into people who are in that kind of field, they only have negative shit to say about the people that they ran into. So for me, I use my most recent 4 examples I used my mom. That's, you know, it's a low vibrational one for me to be talking of, but I learned a lot from it. I used my ex, my BM, and I used the last person that tried to slide in the picture. Those are my examples, but that isn't my whole life. There's other people that I've been involved with that was great, while I was able to compare these ones to those ones. It's just I learned the most from the other motherfuckers. So that's why I tend to discuss those more. As this weather heats up, I will not be cooking out in this motherfucker like this. I promise you, this shit, I'm about to sweat through all of this already. But just understanding that, like, we living in today's society where people are literally sitting on their phones, in their homes, in their spaces, at work, in their cars, all over the world, just looking for new sources to binge and destroy their energy. You know, what happens is they look at it like a new shiny toy. They see me and they be like, oh, well, I never seen him around town. Oh, well, he's talking about self-awareness. Oh, well, he's not doing what the rest of these other guys doing. And then they come into my space, or they try to, and then they realize, oh shit, this nigga dead ass serious. Like, he really lived this shit. Like, all my little weird manipulation tactics I was using on everybody else is not working on him. He's calling all of this shit out. He's juking, he's bobbing, he's weaving, he's swinging. Like, it's a whole round going on over here. So they not even allowed to take the same approach with me, even though they try to. But this is why a lot of them, when they get in our space, they have to run. They gotta get the fuck away. They end up having to get out. That be the crazy thing. These motherfucking people and these beings and entities is so weak and witchy and such a piece of shit that if they cannot destroy you, they're going to run the fuck away and just kind of leave you right there where you are. Bitch, you didn't have to come into my space, my nigga. You didn't have to come into my space to begin with. And that's the thing, is when they come into us warriors, us real warriors, the ones that don't have to have a dog face and look mean and evil and ugly. Nah, we look like light beings. We look like light workers. But when you in our presence and you feel that energy, you know what the fuck time it is. You know what time it is. We don't have to walk around with our chest up like this, like, oh, let me show these motherfuckers this is who I am. I don't have to walk around everywhere my head high like this. Like, let me know. I can dip my head like this and my spirit still be just as high up here. I don't have to do this. You know? That is something for people who are like transitioning. It depends on what transition you're in from your life. You could be coming from teen to 20s, and that may be your part of your transition, but I'm not in that transition in my life anymore. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of this shit, when I seen that video that they sent, and it wasn't supposed to be to me, so they say, but I know people do shit like that intentionally for you to see. And you know, if anybody do research on narcissists, we use that word, but I don't really like using it too much. I just call them witchy, evil, disgusting motherfuckers, because that's what the fuck they are. When you take on that energy and you present that shit to the world and you projecting that shit to other people, that's what the fuck it is. Yeah, I'm gonna shame it, I'm gonna slap it down, I'm not gonna sit there and brush it off to the side or give them some kind of reward or treat for being disgusting. No. But when they sitting around hanging out on these apps and doing these things, and then one finally comes across your path, you have to understand that this shit is a war. It's not the same way it was when we were younger. I'm 36 years old. It's not the same. Of course, and it wasn't the same when the other generation was young. We know that it's gonna keep shifting and changing. That's the point. But what happens is the universe, the physical realm can change and add things to it, and it's supposed to be better. But the way this shift is going, because we project our energy and create this physical realm, we have to be in a better space, because it's not gonna just happen. That's why it seems like it's getting worse and worse and worse and worse, because the opposition is gaining more momentum, they're gaining more players, they're gaining more energy. Stop giving these motherfuckers all your energy. We have to give them some. Minimize how much you give to them. That's where I'll be at. Just minimize how much energy you give to them. That video is just such a clear reminder of that movie Get Out. Like, when I watch that person's reactions and their facial expressions and shit, because you know, you can try to mask, but anybody that's really doing this shit spiritually, you can tell when somebody's facial muscles is not corresponding with what they're projecting, because how they're really feeling is what's creating their muscles to tense and do the things that it does. Come on now. Why you think when people fake smile, you can tell, because the energy has to open and it has to ignite all of your facial muscles. It has to get it all flowing. That's why this doesn't work. It doesn't do the same thing with the eyes. It doesn't do the same thing with the forehead. Like, this shit is, to me, is simple, because this is like how I process things my entire life. But I know for most, it's easy to kind of skate past it. But seeing that motherfucker engaged like that and just watching them, it was like a 30 to 1 minute video. And it's like, at the end, it was like, oh, so, yeah, but how was your day? With the little head turn, and it's just like, and she made the same statement about, oh yeah, my hair is curly, but you can't just put your hands. She did the same little stupid ass comment that she had engaged with me. And when I had heard her say it, I said, this is just like the movie Get Out. It's literally like a fucking script that these motherfuckers, every time they run into somebody, they're running through the same thing. If this person attribute is her fat ass, you're gonna hear the same shit about all the fat ass comments and statements, and they're gonna all be ran the same. This one, her hair statement just happened to be about her hair, so it's all ran the same way. Then you got the men who are just in the gym and they are just big for no fucking reason. You can't even wipe your ass because your arms is too fucking swole. Like, you have them in the same field. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. Look at my muscles. Look at this. Yeah. But then when you actually need them to be strong or to use their strength, it's like, nigga, you ain't. That shit is useless. All that gym work is useless. All that shit you doing is useless. All you need to do is your body weight. And if you could double and triple your body weight, awesome. You know, but as far as living in the weight room for all that shit, to presenting all these fake ass imagery so you can go hit the market and swindle and swoo some more people, we in a whole damn age of this. So as far as like even trying to engage with people in that field, you already know it's going to be a whole hassle and a headache. I met one person online and I met another person in real life. I got the same energy from both of these motherfuckers. People like, oh, well, yeah, sometimes it's better when you meet people in real life. Oh, sometimes it's better, you should try it through online. Bitch, the way the system is structured and set up, these motherfuckers is too oppositional and too fearful. So unless you're willing to break down your fucking principles and morals and not follow the natural flow and then just be okay with going along and everything, you are not going to be able to find, and the universe is not going to send you what you are looking for, because it needs vessels. How can the universe send you what you're looking for if it doesn't have a vessel to use? I mean, just the reality of things. We just have to be more, and it, outside of them not having a vessel, what about the environment and the space you in? If you in a space and an environment where you got 100 people in there, 98% of them is all demonic. You know, let's say 50, 60 of them chose to be witchy motherfuckers, then the other 30, 40 was just so fucking weak and submissive that they just said, fuck it, I'll follow the numbers. Who does that leave the universe to send your way? This is what the fuck we don't think about, which is so obvious. How you gonna get a good apple out of a batch of all bad apples? Like, you have to be aware of these spells people cast. That's what I be saying. That's why I get frustrated sometimes, because they got a lot of people think, oh, you just wait. It's gonna send it. It's gonna come. It's here. It's there. Motherfucker, if it ain't no portal for it to come through, it's not coming. It's not coming. It's not coming. If you have not opened no portals for it to make its way through, it's not going to happen. That's like when people get a car. You opened a whole nother avenue to transport around outer space. So now more things can be accessible to you. Shit is weird. This is a pretty long subject. I could be diving into this shit for a minute, because we are all experiencing this, and motherfuckers be sitting around, yeah, I'll get the right one. He'll come to me one day. He'll come to me one day. She'll come to me one day. Yes, when you're on to your next journey, you're not in this physical realm, motherfucker, because the way this shit is designed, it's not for us to be together. It's not for us to feel. It's not for us to vibe. The universe is set up this way, but the matrix that we are living in, being a part of, is not designed this way. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to run it up too long. Tapping everything down below. Peace and love to the kings and queens.